Okay, we starting?
Yep.
Okay.
You can get right now.
All right, my name is Gary Bullwinkle. I've been in recovery for 12 years by the grace of God. I've been clean, haven't put a chemical in my body, and I was a heroin addict for a lot of years. I used drugs for 35 years. Was in rehabs, prison, was a drug dealer, criminal for most of my life. And my life has totally turned around in the past 12 years. And I shouldn't be walking around. I was in a hospice in 2000, and they gave me 2 years to live when I got out of there. I had a trach. I had my lungs collapsed. I shouldn't be walking around. So I realized a while back that God didn't keep me alive for me. He kept me alive to use me. So the most valuable thing I have is to share my experience, strength, and my hope, so that others may recover also. You know, as far as the heroin epidemic and the opiate abuse in this country, and you know, Butler County, Butler, PA, is considered the heroin capital of the country, and I've heard that in more than a couple of different sources. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's got to have some merit, because I hear a lot of that up here. I know a lot of people in the fellowship tell me that there's tons of heroin up in Butler. And you know, getting back to what I was saying before, the heroin is not necessarily heroin all the time. It's fentanyl, which is a synthetic heroin, which is 100 times stronger than morphine and 40 to 50 times stronger than heroin. You know, that's why it comes in a patch, so it transdermally just go into your system over a period of 20 to 24 hours, real slowly. But my addiction got so bad, and I started like most addicts, 75% addicts, opiate addicts start with prescription pain meds. That's where I started. And my addiction got so bad, I was doing 10 to 15 bags of heroin a day. And when I could get the fentanyl patches, I would put a 75 milligram on each arm, and I would snort heroin too. You know, just to be able to function. But yeah, your tolerance level, I mean, it just builds and builds where you can't get out of bed unless you have something, just to feel normal. I mean, it's a living nightmare every day, and you'll go to any lengths to get the next one just to feel normal. You know, I stole from my family, I stole from everybody was a mark to me. You know, you lose total every spiritual principle you thought you had gets thrown out the window. You care not. You lose all your empathy.
Self-worth.
It's like takes your soul. You know, you feel like you're possessed, and you don't.
I don't think you're far from that.
Yeah, you don't care anything about yourself, let alone anybody else. The only reason you even talk to anybody else is because you might be able to get something off it, some kind of money or something off it. You know? But I have a couple recovery houses down in Penn Hills, and we have drug-free houses. One of our biggest issues is these guys that get out of rehabs and prison, you know, they get them off the street drugs and then they put them on their drugs. Well, a lot of these prescription medications are worse than street drugs. And they're designed to be the psych drugs, the opiate blockers, even this Vivitrol. You don't get high off. It's $1,000 shot, and I've heard the doctors get, you know, quite a bit of that money kickback. It takes away the cravings for opiates. But what happens is now you have, like we were saying before, they don't get to the root of the problem. They just address the symptom. So now I take the Vivitrol, I get the shot, now I don't have a craving to use, but I'm still depending on a chemical for my recovery. You know, there's no freedom in that, you know? We didn't address the problem, the root problems of why I used to begin with, you know? And, you know, being in Narcotics Anonymous and having a sponsor and going through the step work and looking at myself and my past and being molested as a child, and I never felt good in my own skin. And when I put a chemical in me, I could handle myself. I could deal with myself. You know, the self-loathing went away. You know, the shame and guilt, that went away. And when I started doing the opiates, that was the ticket for me. You know, because it gave me this self-confidence, all those feelings of inadequacy and shame and guilt. They all went away. And I think, you know, the children today, a lot of kids are brought up in one-parent homes, and they have a lot of issues like this, and that's why they take the first one, you know. And you get addicted real fast. There's no gradual with opiates. It comes on pretty fast, you know. And you know, especially when you go to a doctor, you know, you're in pain. I had both knees blown out. And I was on pain medication for a long time. And it just, you know, the doctor shuts you off, and then you go to the street drugs. And you end up getting fentanyl or heroin or whatever you can get just to feel normal. Just to be able to function, you know. I couldn't get out of bed. I would wake up soaking wet and freezing at the same time, trying to get to the bathroom. Didn't know where I was going to sit down on the toilet or puke, you know, or both, you know. A lot of times I'd be sitting down on the toilet and puking in the sink. I was so sick. And just to get that sickness to go away, I had to have somebody bring me something, you know, and I would go to any lengths to do it, you know. And I ended up in jail many times, in prison, and federal prison, state prison. I've been shot at, knives pulled on me. Like I said, I shouldn't be walking around. I really shouldn't. But getting into the solution here, I don't want to dwell on the problem too much. But like I was saying before I start pouring, the accountability is so important. You know, we don't have families. Like when I was a kid growing up, we all met at the dinner table at 5 o'clock, and there was a debriefing. How was your day? What'd you do? And you know, if you had a problem, you know, even if you were trying to hide it, sooner or later it would surface because you had that close family ties and accountability and that bonding, you know. And your parents knew you. They knew what you did that day. They knew who your friends were. They knew where you were. We don't have that today, you know. When the women's lib movement was pushed by the Rockefellers and the powers that be, got the women out of the house. That's when it all started, you know, breaking the family down. The family unit is more important than anything to a country. But the doctors, I don't know if I said that this time, but they are the start of the problem for, you know, 3 out of 4 heroin addicts. 3 out of 4 addicts all start in the doctor's office. The guy with the white coat, listen to your doctor, all that crap, and then you get strung out, and then you go to him for the solution. You know, they get very little training, if any at all, on addiction, and none, 0 on recovery. So they know nothing about the solution. So I found myself, God led me to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, and that's where my recovery began. When I surrendered and got a sponsor and started taking direction, started being accountable, praying, developing a relationship with God, that's when things started to get better. And you know, when I showed up at the rooms of NA, I had warrants out for my arrest. I was a mess. I mean, my health I was lucky to be alive. And like I said before, you know, God kept me alive for a reason. So when I developed a support group, and developed that daily accountability, things just got so much easier. But, you know, going through the withdrawal, and I went through withdrawal many times, and I tried it with methadone, you know, trying to sugarcoat it with Suboxone and this and that. When I went through it cold turkey for the last time, the horrors of those 3-4 days, I just wanted to die. I mean, if I had a gun loaded, I would have shot myself. But that pain was so important because I remember that. I'll never forget that agony I went through. So, you know, when they tried to make this an easier, softer way with medication, you know, it doesn't work. You know, I see guys going back to using, girls and guys going back to using all the time because you think, well, it wasn't that bad last time. I'll just go get the Suboxone, go get this and that. You know, and it's the same cycle over and over because you didn't address why you used to begin with. Because I didn't like the way I felt. I couldn't stand myself. So I changed the way I felt. But, you know, develop a relationship with God. And, you know, I'm grateful I'm a recovering addict today. I'm grateful because I would have never, I can't see me ever developing this relationship I have with God if I hadn't. You know, if I didn't get that gift of desperation and cry out to Him, either let me die or get me through this, you know. And when I finally did that on my knees in tears, He was there for me, you know. And blowing up now thinking about it. But you know, if you are having an opiate issue or you know anybody that is, get my number after this. I'd be willing to help anybody because, you know, that's what I do, you know. That's my purpose. That's my purpose.
It'll be on the tape then.
Yeah, my phone number is 412-853-7313. I work the helpline for NA 24/7, so you can call me anytime. I can take calls 3-4 in the morning. How you doing?
Repeat your number.
That number again is 412-853-7313. You know, I could talk all night about recovery and where it's brought me and where God has brought me today. My life is so full. You know, it's funny, when I first got clean, one of my biggest fears was how boring it was going to be. I don't have a spare moment anymore. You know what I mean? My life is so full, you know. So God probably got a kick out of that when I used to think that. But you know, recovery is probably the best thing I never ever wanted to do. You know, it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about the importance of a relationship with God.
See, what you have now is purpose, where you didn't have that before.
Right.
And God gave you purpose. And He's the only one that can really give you purpose.
Right. You know, you ask these kids today, well, what do you want to do? They have no clue what they want to do. They want to play video games and get on Facebook and do all this nonsense and try to entertain themselves to death, you know? It's about amusing themselves to death. And their attention span is so short now, you have to, because they're overwhelmed with all the, you know, the social media, the video games, and it's, you know, my grandson, I can't get his attention for 5 minutes. Look at me for 5 minutes and listen to what I have to say. I mean, he struggles to do that, you know. And you know, I think it's all by design what's happening to us. But we have to seek solutions through people with experience with this stuff. You know, I don't want to go to my baker to get my transmission fixed. You know, I go to him to get some poisonous high fructose corn syrup pastries. Just trying to make an analogy there, but I think that's all I have. You know, if anybody wants to talk after this, I'll be here for a while.
Okay, thank you. Next up is John.
Pastor John.